Probably the biggest challenge I have right now is dealing with my Parkinson's. And it's quite an experience, buddy.
Yeah.
But it is, in fact, a matter of surviving and thriving.
Welcome to the Love, Wisdom, Money podcast. On this program, you'll meet some of the family stewards and their advisors I've had the privilege of working with over my career and hear their stories, experiences to help you make more informed decisions on how to enrich your family wealth, your love, wisdom, and money. The greatest risk for any family is not losing your money. It's losing sight of your purposeful intentions, the influence you have on others, and the decisions you make today that will impact your family for generations to come, your legacy. Welcome to the Love, Wisdom, Money podcast. My name is Buddy Thomas, the author of the book Love, Wisdom, Money, The Family Fiduciary's Guide to Generative Wealth. Over the past 40 years, I've worked directly with family leaders, helping them protect and grow not only their financial wealth, but the love they have for each other and the wisdom they have to share with those who will follow. In this podcast, you will meet some of them and hear their stories in hopes you'll find some ideas that might help you feel a sense of urgency to do what you can to make more informed decisions on how best to enrich your family wealth, your love, your wisdom, and your money. Today, on the very first episode of the podcast, we have a special treat. Our guest host is a longtime friend and client, one I've had the privilege of knowing and working with over the past 30 years, John McCallan. John's a link in the chain of a family now in their 7th generation to talk about where he picked up and what he and his wife have done and are doing to honor their family values and set things up for their children to carry on. When we were preparing for this program, I asked John what he thought our listeners might want to hear from two people who had been working together for so long. One family's family wealth. He didn't hesitate, but he simply said, survive,
and thrive.
And thrive. There he is. John, welcome to the program, and thank you for being here.
My pleasure, buddy.
Yeah,
My honor and privilege.
It's been such a great time. We've had such a great time over the past 35 years or however long it's been, but we've been through a lot of ups and downs. But before we get started, John, maybe you can give us a little background on your family and what they've done to survive and thrive, some experiences you have. Discuss a bit, discuss a bit where, how you got here and where you see yourself going.
That's a good question. Probably the biggest challenge I have right now is dealing with my Parkinson's. And it's quite an experience, buddy.
Yeah.
But it is, in fact, a matter of surviving and thriving.
Yeah. So how long have you had that? When did this all start?
About 8 years ago.
Wow.
Who would think
that
you would be the one that may have Parkinson's? But in a sense, it's been a real rewarding experience because I've learned more about disabilities and people's strength and determination to survive and thrive.
Well, I know when it first happened, you didn't miss a beat. You just kept going, and you embraced it like you have everything else I've seen you do over the years. And your attitude is just something that I think if you don't have something like that, you're probably not going to overcome it. But in your case, it seems like no matter what you do, you're ready to take that next step. And that's, I guess that's the basic of surviving.
Yes.
But the thriving part, how does that work?
Well, I guess I think back, buddy, to our introduction at the church, St. Gregory the Great, and our developing our relationship in terms of friendships and challenges that I encountered and opportunities in business. And I guess you'd call it being an entrepreneur, but I like the word entrepreneurial better because it was internalize what you've got and maximize the benefit of that for your family.
Yeah, the thing that one of the most memorable things that happened to me early on, we were neighbors when we met, and actually we met through our church because John's oldest daughter came to our house for a faith formation meeting one day,
Yes.
and I would go to your office, and you asked me to help you with an estate plan. But whenever I'd go to your office, because I was trying to figure out what it was, what the size of the estate was, and what was involved, and every time I would come there, I would discover a new company that you founded,
Yeah, that's right.
and I'd never seen anything like it. And some of those companies have done really well, and some of them are just kind of faded away.
Some of them have done it very, very well.
Uh, so. So tell me a little bit about your family, because you're like this, working on the seventh generation. I think your children are the seventh, or your grandchildren are the seventh generation of the family that I came to know over the years by reading a book that I think was your grandfather
Yes.
put together.
Parents met in Omaha, Nebraska. My father was working for Kraft Foods at the time, which was a very good job, considering he just came out of World War II. And the family grew, eventually became neighbors with another gentleman who worked for the Ford Motor Company. They became friends, and then my dad pursued an opportunity. People thought he was nuts to move to Denver, Colorado and get in the car business. So he was trading the cheese business for the car business, which later he told his fellow business people he saw no difference between the two. Because he says really any business is ultimately the people business. And in any event, we moved from Omaha to Denver, Colorado, and my father became a Ford dealer. And that's what I fell in love with, despite the fact that he encouraged me to get into law, which I did do, but ultimately I came back to the car business after becoming an attorney.
So what was your role in the car dealership when you came back from law school?
I became an owner, actually, and became fairly successful in our business.
Did you actually sell cars?
No, I never fixed any transmissions either. But I just learned that partnerships were the best way to go for me.
Well, that's fascinating, because a lot of people will say you don't want to have partners, and partnerships were the best way to go for you. So who are your partners in that auto dealership?
Well, my brother-in-law, ultimately, he was my first one, and he had some health issues, so ultimately it was other people I worked with in the business. And when I found that if I had the right people with the right attitude, the investment should go to them and their development. So, different examples along the line would be even like Mike Lewis.
Yeah.
And how he got into the fuels operation business.
Yeah. So just a little background for our listeners. When John moved the dealership from Denver to California, he took on a number of partners, and one of them was a young man who was interested in these alternative fuels. And between the two of them, John and Mike, they established an E85 ethanol stations all up and down California. There's over 100 of them now.
Oh, it's over 400.
Over 400 now. Yeah. So, and that was, I remember talking to Mike about it once, and we were talking about just the energy, the new energy, the clean energy business. And he talked about how much people were talking about it and how little people were doing about it. And one station at a time, they built one station at a time to pretty much make this alternative fuel available all throughout California. So that was one of the businesses. And then there's the dealerships themselves did pretty well. And I remember your flagship dealership was a dealership in San Diego called Pearson Ford. And Pearson Ford was
standing alone at Fairmont and El Cajon.
That was the jingle. And anybody that was around in San Diego in the 60s and the 70s, if you tell them where was Fairmont, where was Pearson Ford, they'll tell you that it stands alone at Fairmont and El Cajon, because that was just a great jingle. But Pearson Ford was in the middle of a thriving neighborhood where was a great place for a car dealer at the time. But the neighborhood changed, and freeways came in, and you had to move the dealership and eventually sell it. And that was one of the things that I noticed about you and your entrepreneurial abilities. That no matter what happened, I mean, just like with your Parkinson's, no matter what happened, you found a way to survive and thrive. And I think that the entrepreneurial families, that's in their DNA. I remember talking to Susan once and asking her how she dealt with the ups and downs of cash flow of an entrepreneur. And this is John's wife, Susan, and she said, "Well, we just learned to live in the troughs. I'm sorry, and I guess that was surviving. And then when times were good, you didn't overdo it. You just maintained your family wealth and your family values."
We should talk about our introduction and our growth of business, and the planning that you assisted me with.
Yeah,
And the people that you introduced me to, because there were some outstanding professionals.
Yeah, I was really fortunate. And John and Susan and the kids lived in our neighborhood, and we ran into each other once at I think it was a new car show at San Diego down at the convention center. And I was pushing my oldest son in a stroller. I think we only had one at the time. And right there, as we saw each other, we said hello, and you said, I need to talk to you about some estate planning, because, he knew what I did and I knew what he did. We had actually just bought a new Ford Explorer from you. I'll never forget that car. Liz loved that car. That was her first SUV. And once I met you and we started to talk about what you had, and there were so many moving parts. But from what I remember, your biggest concern was you had 100 and some employees at the time.
Yes.
You had a number of businesses, and you were concerned about what would happen to the family if something happened to you.
That's right.
So it was the most basic of estate planning that you can do, but then it got very complicated very quickly. So what happened, now that you brought this up, is we grew together. You were always pushing my envelope.
We were partners.
Yeah, we were, and we still are.
That's right.
And
That's exactly right.
So from your side, because the way, just so you know what was happening on my side, the more I got to know about the family, the more I was looking for solutions to some very, very complex problems. I would go to these seminars on this advanced estate planning, and there were at these seminars, the topic would always be some exotic estate plan. And my thought was always, well, how could I take these exotic strategies and just make them practical enough to, help families out? And in your case, I would bring you back an exotic idea, and you would say, well, how does that work? And then we started to work on it, and we would kind of whittle it down until it worked for you, and we would all grow in the meantime, in the process. And like you said, we met some really great people along the way, and one of them was a wonderful estate planning attorney.
Paul McCune.
Yeah.
Yeah. Exceptional guy.
Yeah. So tell me what you thought about Paul, because he's one of my dearest friends until he passed away recently. But tell me what you thought about him.
I thought he made sense. He was plain speak guy, and he'd be very short to the point, but the best mannerisms I think of a person like that I've ever met. Very conscientious, and he was one of many that we talked and worked with, buddy.
Yeah. The thing about it is this is one lawyer talking about another lawyer right now. And they are two of the kindest, most conscientious people I've ever met. So I've been so blessed with these relationships. But the thing about Paul is he like you, and I guess like me, had this open-ended attitude. We didn't know where things were going, but we were willing to grow, and we were willing to see what the principles were behind whatever it was we were doing, and then we would apply them to the situation. And the cool thing about it was, I was like the mediator, or the, I don't know, interpreter between you, the businessman, and John, Paul, the estate planning attorney. But the three of us, along with a couple of really good accountants over the years, were able to take care of the technical aspects of these plans, but also integrate the family. And I remember probably when we met, the children were all under 14, and maybe even younger than that, because when we met, Brianna was 6. So I think that first family meeting that we had, was when the oldest, your son was 14 years old. Shane was 14, and we would do it around Thanksgiving or Christmas, because that was kind of the time when everybody had time off and we could carve out a couple hours to sit around the dining room table and just talk about where the family was and where they were going. Now, at that level, it was generalities, but you were always pushing me to help the entire family rather than just you and I talk business, and getting them involved at an early age. How did the family feel about those meetings? From what I could see, they didn't know what we were talking about at first.
That's for sure.
But then as they grew older, they kind of they had this background that they didn't know why we were talking about it, and then they started to connect the dots.
That's right.
Shane was bright, very bright young man. He was an attorney, actually got into the business like you did.
Yes, that's right.
But he went to work for a big organization. What was he doing for them?
He was doing compliance work for the auto dealers. And he had this hunch about building a business that would make it unnecessary to deal with all the legal problems that car dealerships were dealing with at the time, which is complex federal regulations and state regulations. But he was an early visionary in terms of AI. And now the company's, over time, developed into a real dynamic company called Comply Auto.
Yeah, it's the premier auto dealer compliance. I guess it's a program that has eliminated a lot of the liabilities that these dealerships run into by not complying with federal and state laws.
That's exactly right.
And so Shane, being a compliance, was he a compliance attorney for one group or for a lot of groups? How did that work? How did he get his feet on the ground?
He was involved with an organization which was performing compliance work for a lot of car dealerships in California.
And I remember you guys talking about that when it first started, and I just couldn't figure out, well, what's that got to do with anything? And here was a big problem. Did I hear you say once that the average compliance violation would cost the dealership a couple $100,000?
Oh, absolutely, if not millions.
And this software that they've produced and a program that they've offered to new car dealers has all but eliminated those kinds of claims.
It's done a tremendous job of providing for protection of the car dealerships.
Yeah, and it happens in for, I think they're charging just like $1,000 a month or something for it.
Yeah, it's got the potential of moving into other businesses too.
So this is the entrepreneurial spirit that the family has. Not only is this this compliance program doesn't work for car dealerships, but it works in a lot of other fields too.
Yes, sir.
Like you're talking about the legal field and the financial.
Even the financial side of things.
Financial services?
Yes, sir.
Wow. Wow. Well, Shane was amazing, and Shane was your oldest son.
Yes.
And he was, as we started to develop the plan, the heir apparent, because he had the business head, and he also, was very interested in the estate planning aspect. And I remember having lunch with him when we were talking about, this was before Comply Auto happened. We were even talking about how were preparing him as, or not preparing him, but he was interested in being the patriarch of the family for the next generations, because his siblings were just, that wasn't their propensity. I mean, they're all smart, and they're all great, loving family. They have great, loving families and parents. But he was the one who was interested in the business side. And then he passed away at a very early age.
Yes.
And it was a very big surprise to all of us.
Yes, it was a shock to the family too.
Yeah.
But we've gone past that now and accepted his loss. And the kids are all doing wonderfully well now.
Yeah, and from my side, being on just kind of the family office, we were like a virtual family office for the family, and our firm still is, but the firm that I sold recently is still taking care of them, and they picked up the baton nicely. But the thing that survive and thrive, when that happened, I mean, it was like, if you're a big ship and you get hit by a torpedo, you think you're going to go down. And because we kept the family involved in those family meetings, and because of your leadership and your love and Susan's love and the wisdom to get them involved at the early age, from my point of view, that had a lot to do with the kids, the other three children, picking up the ball.
Yes.
Because when your Parkinson's happened, it got pretty extreme there for a while, a couple of years ago, and the children and Susan were actually making decisions for a while.
Yes. So we've survived, and now we're thriving back again.
Yeah. So you certainly are. It's just remarkable to watch those waves that Susan talked about, the ups and the downs. But looking back over the 30 years, what do you think was the key to any success that we have in the surviving and thriving, John?
People, the right people, the purposeful existence, common values, goals. So I think of you and I, buddy, and the stuff that we're involved in now, like Build a Miracle in Tijuana.
Yeah.
How that's developed and done such a wonderful job. So that's one example.
So this goes all the way back to what you said when you got into your dad and the cheese and the car business. It's all about the people.
That's all about the people.
And we are so fortunate that, in my case, with Superior Planning, the firm that we had for all those years, and now what we're doing with Super Plan Family Wealth, is that I used to have a rule. I found this along the way. I have no idea what year it was, and it wasn't anywhere near when we started. But along the way, I heard somebody say, "You gotta wanna," and what that means is you've got to want to work with the people you're working with, and they've got to want to work with you, and that comes back to values. And our values have been aligned from the very beginning. I guess it all started because we picked the same neighborhood and the same church. But this Build a Miracle is a nonprofit organization in San Diego that helps people that are really living in squalor down at Tijuana build a home. So that they may own their land, but it's just got a lean-to or some shack on it. And Build America will come in and build a 400 square foot home that's got 2 bedrooms and a loft and a kitchen and a bathroom and like a little family room. But the home is only the means to an end.
That's right.
Because they're also educating these families as part of the process. They get the home, but then now that they have a permanent place to live, they still need something to do, and they need to learn and grow. And they've created a fabulous community center down there. And
how many homes have been built? 500, I think.
Yeah, I think it's 547 or something like that, and it's just remarkable. But the way your family got involved, because you're in the transportation business, they had this community center, and they were doing these classes in the community center, and they needed some transportation there, so they asked me if I knew anybody that could get them a deal on a van. And so I came to you and asked you if you can get them a deal on a van, and
we did that.
Yeah, you sure
Chris
did.
and Julianne North.
Yeah,
and unbelievable people.
Yeah, you surprised them and just gave them the keys rather than a deal. But that's not where you stopped.
We ended up buying some buses too. 2 buses in particular. They pick up the kids, bring them to the community center, and one of them is called Susanna. The other one is Junior.
Yeah, they named the first bus after Susan, and so in Tijuana it's Susanna, and they wanted to name the second one after Shane, but they didn't know how to say Shane, and they thought the best thing to call it was Junior. But these are 88 passenger buses, and now, from what I understand, they have 8,000 participants. People are signed up for one class or another down at the community center for Build a Miracle in Tijuana. And that place is just thriving. I know you've been down there a couple of times on trips. We went down together during COVID.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and they had, during COVID, they had to not close the community center, but kind of slow things down. And they set up learning cells all over the community, right in
different family homes.
Yeah, and these are not sprawling mansions.
No, certainly not. But they are for them.
Yeah, they sure are. And these are some of the happiest people ever, because they're so grateful that people that don't know them would come in and just help them take that next step. But the real remarkable thing about it are the graduates.
Yeah, it's become generational now.
Yeah, so part of their process is to, in order to qualify to build a home, you have to own your land, but you also have to do a couple of 100 hours of community service, which means you're usually helping people build other people's homes before you get yours. And then you're required to have some community service afterwards, so now you're involved in the community center, and you're servicing and doing something there, even if it's, just doing janitorial work. But there are people that work in the kitchens, and now they're starting little businesses down there. But the amazing thing are these children that are actually graduating from school where they would have, like their parents didn't finish the 4th grade. And these kids are not only finishing grammar school, but they're going to high school and on to college, and now they're returning. And they've got more than 100 children have graduated from high school, and now I think there's 15 or 20 of them that have graduated from college, and they're coming back and working in the community center.
That's right.
Yeah. And a big part of this is that transportation of getting the kids, just getting them there. But Susan also got involved. And Susan's passion, what was Susan's passion?
The educational side. And so they realized that these families don't have books in Spanish. So she started gathering more books in San Diego and delivering them down there for a library. And they treat them like gold.
Because books are the The Threshold of the World. You can learn from books, but I didn't realize there were that many Spanish written children's books and high school books. And Susan's part of the mission is she's passionate about helping the education. So what we have from the McCallan family down at Build a Miracle is the transportation and the education are two of the pillars. And Build a Miracle is growing at such a rate, and they're so efficient that they're like feeding people for $1.25 a meal, and they've done thousands and thousands of meals, and these are meals that the kids wouldn't have had. So they're offering stability down there, and there's just such a great there's such a great demand for more of this kind of love that and wisdom and the financial resources that go down there. And this is, I think it's a testament, first of all, to any family that gets involved in philanthropy, but particularly in the McCallan family case, because through your ups and downs, as long as your family was taken care of, this isn't the only place you reach out to. You're also, what are some of the other things that the McCallan family are supporting?
Oh my goodness. Reconnected back in Colorado. It's dependency recovery firm that help people with dependency issues, whether it be alcohol or otherwise, and helps them get back, be connected with the community and their families.
And what's the name of that organization? That's
Reconnected.
Reconnected. That's in the Vail Valley.
Disconnected, you can be reconnected.
Reconnected. And I know your family had a little place there early on in Vail, which was your dad he was a visionary.
Yeah, he bought a place in the Vail Valley. People thought he was nuts then too, because it was so far. But it proved to be a very nice, great thing for the family and a nice investment at the same time.
Yeah.
So Susan and I now, we have a home back there as well.
It's beautiful. I've spent time there, and it's just fantastic. And then there's also your high school.
Yeah, Bridges Jesuit. I went to a Jesuit all-boys school, and they introduced me to a lot of different things. But I've since then supported the high school, and it's, again, just a very rewarding situation. Or it's now developed 2 campuses. They educate not only boys but girls too. So it's a great experience.
And so let's see. And then there's and now you're involved with Parkinson's.
Yes,
With the University of Florida.
it's actually Fixed Excellence. It is University of Florida. That's right. That's my I was introduced to that through a college roommate who became the chief administrator of University of Florida hospitals. And they had a doctor there, Michael Oken, who I was introduced to, who helped me turn my life around with respect to Parkinson's. He said, it's not the end. He said, it's more like the beginning of life. And that's proven to be the case. They've got a good handle on what my medical problem is. And I've got a good handle of it mentally too, in terms of going forward.
Survive and thrive, huh, John?
Survive and thrive.
You gotta love it. Well, what I've experienced with the McCallan family and a number of other families I've worked with is once the family is, the family's going to be financially okay, and you've done everything you can to instill the principles and values that are around love, and you use the wisdom that's been passed down to you and that we learn from experience, is that once the family's set, there's significant joy in helping others, and
absolutely
helping others survive and thrive. So that's going to be our message to the world now, John. Or you nailed it in 2 words. You're always a man of few words, but very impactful. So
Helping others help themselves.
helping others help themselves. So let's go back to that, because you asked you mentioned that you like partnerships, and I've seen a lot of partnerships go bad. There's some stories about some families that even brothers have not been good partners, even though they had a lot of success. Um, so what do you look for in a partner? Because I know that as time went on, I noticed that you would start a business, but you wouldn't just start it and hire the person. You'd start the business, and then you'd loan them enough money to buy into the business, and then the business would make enough money for them to pay you back. But you're the one to pick those people. So like, how do you determine, like a Mike Lewis? It was a sales guy for you, wasn't he? Is that how he started?
He worked for the Ford Motor Company, actually.
Yeah.
But once I talked him into getting into the dealership business with me, Mike became the service director. And then we had the opportunity to build the RTC. And that's how we got in the fuels operation business.
Yeah, but what do you look for in a person? How do you know they're the right person? Because it's so easy to pick a bad partner.
Work ethics. That's a lot of it. Ethical behavior. Them treating leadership from behind. Be a leader, but be behind your people the entire time.
That's kind of the key to build a miracle too.
Yes.
Because they look for families. You don't just get a home. It's not like Oprah where you get a home and you get a home. It's what are you doing to keep your family together? What are you doing to keep your family off the streets? What are your values? And are you grounded? And you could see that in people.
I've been blessed with that respect to that. Yes.
Well, you've had some great partners through the years, and we could go on for hours talking about all of them. But we've covered an awful lot today, John. Is there anything else that you wanted to talk about that we didn't get to?
Well, I think we visited now and then, buddy, but I appreciate our friendship, appreciate how we've survived and thrived over the years, financially and morally, and just want to say thank you.
Oh, well, thank you, John. This is truly a mutual admiration society. You've pushed me along all these years, and I don't know who's gotten more out of it. I know I certainly have gotten a lot out of our relationship, and I can't thank you enough for today, because this is the beginning of our Love, Wisdom, Money podcast, and I look at Love, Wisdom, Money as a movement, and the reason that the title of the book is like that is because I think there's I know that in the financial services industry, the focus is on the money, and that's natural, because everybody wants to make sure their money is their security. But
the people side of it is where you excel, buddy.
Yeah, well, that was the thing, is what about love and wisdom, which I think are more important than money. And money is a great tool, and the more you have, the more freedom you have, the more people you can help, the better your life could be, as long as you keep your priorities straight. But we would not be sitting here today if it wasn't for you pushing me all the way and us having faith in each other. So I want to thank you too, John, for this. And I'm looking forward to, we'll have you back again. So we're going to get going, and we're going to have, we're planning on having some really great guests. And what a great way to start it. This has been a wonderful conversation. You and I talk almost weekly, and if not more than that. But we got into some places today that were really fantastic, and I hope anybody listening in can get a little bit out of our experiences.
I'm looking forward to hearing your podcast.
Thank you, John. All right, well, we got one listener now. All right, John, so thanks again, and We will see you in another episode soon.
Thank you, buddy.
All right, thanks. Bye. Thank you for joining us on today's podcast. To learn more about the Love, Wisdom, Money podcast, please subscribe to YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcast. To get more information about Love, Wisdom, Money and our Super Plan program, please visit lovewisdommoney.com. I wish you all the best for your family and your community as you strive to flourish and grow your love, wisdom, and money.